Hello all and welcome to this, and it's Friday, and yeah, I got AEW watched, I got both shows watched, talk a little bit about both shows and go on from there. I do plan on seeing some of the collective shows, still not sure which ones, still kind of up in the air, and then I'm definitely going to do like a G1 like catch-up video too, so we'll see how all of that goes. We'll see how it all progresses throughout the weekend, because it's a weekend, and when you have a family and it's a weekend, it gets kind of crazy sometimes. But let's get started. So, where to get started? Let's. We had AEW Dark. Still not a. Was an okay show, I guess. I still think it was too long. We had more promos. It was kind of weird because we had more promos. They definitely promoted the Jericho Dynamite, so that was cool, and the whole Luther thing. They did a good job there. They had Eddie Kingston cut 2 promos. I thought it was kind of weird because he cut one promo, which was about the main event, and then but when he cut that promo, he didn't even talk about the match that he had, and then after the match he got another promo, which was good. I mean, Eddie Kingston cutting promos is always a good thing. I want to say there was another promo on the show too, and I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah. But anyways, but we did okay. So we had Brandi Rhodes versus Kenzie Paige, which was we had Jurassic Express versus Eric Watts and Ray Rojas, which was not as good as I was hoping it would be. We had the Chaos Project, and this was, kind of leading up to the Dynamite thing, versus Anthony Bowens, Hunley Johnson. This was okay. There was a lot of okay. You had Will Hobbs defeating Ryzin, which was a complete squash, which was exactly what it needed to be, so I had no complaints there. You had John Silver versus QT Marshall, which was just kind of there. You had Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison taking on Cezar, Bononi, and David Ali, and Pillman and Garrison actually won, which is kind of a big deal. If you watch the show, match was still okay. There was nothing other than the main event. There was nothing good on the show, and other than you had Kingston and Hobbs, which were complete squashes, along with Matt Sydal, and those matches, like the Matt Sydal Michael Nakazawa, that was the other one. They had the Matt Sydal promo, which that was really good too. And so, yay on promos. It still needs to be more promos. There still needs to be more promos on the show. There's too much wrestling on the show. There needs to be more promos, which was good. Matt Sydal versus Nakazawa was complete storyline, very, very short, but served its purpose. Kingston and Mabudu was just another pretty much squash that was completely fine. A lot of the other matches just seemed like they kind of went for too long. Angelico versus Shawn was, again, just kind of there. And the main event, which was the Lucha Bros versus Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss, which I had high hopes for, was good, but not as good as I had hoped, and which is usually the case with this show. Again, there still was not enough promos. They need more. They need to have Brandi win, and they cut a promo. They did like an angle after Brandi Rhodes won, which was fine. Then you had Jurassic Express and Eric Watts and Ray Rojas, and I really felt like you needed a promo or something from Jurassic Express. Chaos Project, you had the Jericho promo, which was fine. Will Hobbs, you're gonna eventually have to let Will Hobbs talk. You're just going to have to. That's just gonna be the way it is. John Silver beats QT Marshall. You needed to have a promo by the Dark Order. You just needed to have that. Brian Pillman, Griff Garrison, they won their first match. You need to have a promo after they won their first match. Big Swole versus Skyler Moor, pretty much the same thing. You need to have these people cutting promos after they win. Maybe that means you don't have as many matches, but you don't need that many matches on the show. And I get that you're trying to get people as much ring time as you can, but you also need to get them promo time too. And that's probably that is my biggest complaint with the show. It was okay. Was better than some of the shows I've seen so far, but it definitely wasn't like. So then we had the Dynamite Show, which was, of course, the Chris Jericho anniversary show, which was cool. They had all of these, mostly rock people, have these like sent in videos, which was fine, and which was kind of cool because there wasn't a lot of wrestling people. And the wrestling people that were there, I think it made a little bit more of an impact. But you had all these rock people, and you had like actual like movie stars and comedians and all this sort of stuff. And I think it wasn't just, hey, this is just a wrestling thing. It made it seem a whole lot better, and I liked that. So that was a very big thumbs up for the show. The show was I'd say really good. I wouldn't say it was great, but I would say it was really good. But I did think it was enjoyable. It was easy to watch. So there was that. We started with Brian Cage versus Will Hobbs for the FTW title. This was really good in the fact that Will Hobbs looked good. He lost. Brian Cage. Me personally, and I get that you have the problem is the guy you have as champion is probably a bigger star and a bigger ratings guy than Brian Cage. To me personally, I would love to see Brian Cage as the AEW champion and like everyone kind of going for him and you build him up that way, just because he looks so impressive and he can do so many impressive things, and it becomes what everyone pretty much always wanted, kind of like Lesnar to be. Brian Cage can be that. I get why they don't do it, but I would like to see that. Him as the FTW champion is kind of to me, because I remember when the FTW championship was unveiled and why it existed. It was because basically Taz was the uncrowned champion. That's what it was about. That's not the case here. It's just kind of like this belt. I'm guessing at some point Darby Allin's going to win the belt. I'm guessing, which is going to make the whole thing kind of weird. If you've never ever kind of like Taz had the title, he didn't lose the title. They told him that as long as he had the title, he couldn't. I think it was Shane Douglas, if I remember right. He couldn't take on Shane Douglas, so he had this match with Sabu and had Sabu beat him. Purposely like beat up, had Sabu beat, and then had Sabu pinning. It sounds very like Finger of Doom thing, but it's not. It works really well, if you've ever seen it. But that was kind of the whole thing, and that's not what we're getting here. And so that's kind of that would be kind of my biggest complaint, kind of with everything, pretty much, I guess. So you had all of that, and it was okay. You had FTR, and this taking on the Hybrid2, Angelico and Jack Evans. Thought this was kind of weird that they did this match. The match was kind of there. This was one of those matches where Jack Evans tries to do like way too much stuff. I still really liked it, but it was just one of those types. So you kind of had the styles didn't mesh up real well. And you had this whole thing with the Young Bucks, and the Young Bucks were like, they were just ripping on WWE. It was so funny with the way they were watching the monitors. You have to kind of see it. It was good. It was good stuff. I liked it. So it was very much good stuff. So and then like Cody, you had Cody versus Brodie Lee, which was really good. Well, it was great. I wouldn't say it was great. It was just great. Only because it was one of those like Cody matches where it's like really good and you're really kind of into it, but at the same time it's just kind of there at the same time. It's that weird kind of thing. So there was that. Cody won, and then Cody cuts this promo, and then Orange Cassidy comes out, and you find out it's going to be Orange Cassidy versus Cody. next week. Personally, I would change the title. I think Orange Cassidy as the TNT champion would work. I think it would be great. Him basically just not caring about anybody, him not caring about the belt, him just wanting the belt, and but always kind of winning. I think that would be really good. FTR and Hybrid after FTR beat Hybrid2, Best Friends came out with these weenie shirts on. Cut a pretty good promo. We found out it was going to be FTR versus Best Friends next week as well. So next week will be a very stacked show, which I'm sure most of you already knew. We have Big Swole versus Serena Deeb. This was a mess at times. It wasn't bad as I heard, but it wasn't all that great either. You had another kind of cool thing that they did was they had MJF cut this promo basically talking about Chris Jericho and how he first met Chris Jericho and how he might have a surprise for Chris Jericho later, which was kind of cool. One of the other things that they did really well is, you had the faces and the heels all kind of like celebrating Chris Jericho, though the heels kind of laid it on a little thicker than the faces, so that was kind of cool. Then you had the main event, the Inner Circle versus Chaos Project. This was there. I got why they did it. I get, I get the whole thing with Chris Jericho and Luther. I got the whole thing, understood the whole thing. They explained it very well. The match was just not very good. After the match, they had this big celebration. MJF comes out. They teased once again the whole like MJF and Jericho thing, which I think if they have like a feud, it's gonna be like the greatest thing ever. Hopefully they like span it out for a long time where they kind of like hint at it, because they play off of each other just so well. So next week's show should be really good. So that was good. And we will see. Oh, and there was a Moxley promo that was really good, and also a Archer promo setting up the match for next week as well. Both of those were really good as well. Moxley basically, and the thing that kind of everyone's talked about is they talked a lot about New Japan on the show, probably more than they maybe ever had. I don't think that means anything per se. Maybe it's just that they feel like they can do it more, just because of everything that's happened in New Japan. But very interesting. There was just a lot on the show, so it's like I don't think it means anything, but it was very jarring to see. So there was that. But yeah, it was just a like I said, Dark was it's more of a format that I like, but it's still not as good as I think it could be. I still think you need more promos, but it's definitely, we're seeing more and more of that. We're seeing more and more like storylines that are Dark kind of specific, which I kind of like that too. You're seeing kind of hints of that. So overall, I would say Dark was okay. Dynamite was really good. Next week should be I'm guessing that shit is just going to be crazy. I just have this feeling. So there we go. Like I said, there'll probably be some collective reviews this weekend. Definitely I will do a G1 catch up this weekend. And we'll see. We'll see what else we'll do. But anyways, with that, I'm out. You guys have a good one. Have a good weekend. Later.